Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to wait about another probably 2 or 3 minutes to let people trickle on in, then we'll get started. There are a few poll questions if you want to go ahead and take a look at those and answer them while we're waiting to get started as well. So one question that everyone always asks is, will there be a recording? Yes, there will be, and it will be emailed out to everyone after the event. We'll just wait one more minute and then we'll get started. All right, we're going to get started, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Zach France. I'm the AWS Alliance Manager at Deepgram, and joining me today is Sandeep Rao. He is a go-to-market specialist on the Amazon Connect team. Like I mentioned, we are going to have some polls going throughout this webinar. So if periodically you guys want to check those out, please answer them. That would be really helpful. Be good to get kind of an understanding of where everyone's at on their voice AI journey. And then at the end of the webinar, we're also going to have just a quick survey. We'd love to get your feedback on how this went. So just quick agenda. We're going to go through an introduction of who Deepgram is. Not very long. We assume that everyone here already knows who Deepgram and Connect are, of course. And then we're going to go through the reference architecture of what this integration is. Fortunately, it's actually very simple. And then we're actually going to do a live demo on setting it up. So this is going to be about 4 or 5 minutes. And then we're going to go through some use cases on where Deepgram really helps improve the performance of Amazon Connect and Lex. This will probably be about 25, maybe 30-minute webinar, and then we'll have time for Q&A at the end. And we'll also be answering your questions throughout the webinar as we go. So any questions, please be very liberal in asking them in the Q&A section. So first, just want to talk about like who is Deepgram, and in today's world, whether it's the digital economy or the physical economy, it's more and more being powered by APIs. So if you think of Stripe as powering the payments economy, Twilio as the APIs that are powering a lot of the communications economy, Deepgram is really that API that is now really powering the voice economy. And we are powering thousands of organizations around the world, whether it's voice agents, whether it's medical transcription companies, whether it's media transcription use cases, whether it's a whole host of text to speech use cases. Really, there's probably one client that does every single use case under the sun when it comes to voice AI, and Deepgram is powering all of those different use cases. We've actually been around for about a decade now. So we are primarily a research and development led company. We develop all of our own voice AI models. We have about 15 patents, and we are really kind of the leader in speech to text, and we're quickly becoming the leader in text to speech as well. Just want to kind of recap what are really the three products that we have here today. So our the thing that we've been doing for the longest, the last decade, is our speech to text models. We have two classes of those models. So the first one is our Nova models. Then there's no correlation with the AWS Nova. It just happens to be the same name. I always like to joke we were Nova first. And then we also have our newest models, which are called Flux. And Flux has actually really developed for conversational AI. And the big difference here is that it has turn taking built into it. So now you don't need to add in like a VAD or an end of thought detection model into your pipeline. Flux has that built into it. Aura 2 is our latest in text to speech models. And then the other product that we have is our speech to speech model. And that's really a chained architecture between our speech to text, an LLM of your choice, and then our text to speech. For the integration with Amazon Connect, we're really going to be focusing on our Nova models and then Aura 2. Sandeep, you're up.
All right. Can you hear me, Zach?
I can, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So, hey, folks, I'm Sandeep Rao. I'm a go-to-market specialist with Amazon Connect. I help our field, our partners, our customers understand and adopt our AI solutions, inclusive of our agentic offerings when it comes to self-service, as well as our speech options, which we're going to be discussing at depth today. Today, the focus is really on Deepgram's new integration into Amazon Connect, which we're very excited about, very proud with. At a high level, the Deepgram Voice AI is now available as an integration within Amazon Connect, bringing Deepgram's industry-leading speech recognition, also known as speech to text, as well as their speech synthesis, known as text to speech, to companies and organizations who are using Amazon Connect as their contact center platform. I think there are three really important benefits to highlight with this integration. I think I was reading the chat right before this, and many of you are sort of users of Deepgram already, proud users of Deepgram already. So with this integration, organizations using Deepgram can continue to leverage that investment and use it with Amazon Connect. The second is high quality, voice and speech option. Zach kind of mentioned it, industry leading transcription speed, leading to very fast response times that is now available in Amazon Connect. And then the third benefit here, expanded choice, really important factor, right? So as I've gotten to know the Deepgram product better over my time working with Zach and team here, I've seen the variety of ASR models that they have, or I guess we're calling them speech to text models. There's models for healthcare, life sciences. I know there are other options out there. And also there's a variety of voices in the text to speech part. This includes different languages, accents, male, female, really allowing customers to tailor it to their particular need. Next slide, Zach. All right, so what was the before state prior to this integration? Well, before this organization, we did not have sort of third-party speech option integrations into Amazon Connect. We were constrained or restricted to the voice options, speech options within Amazon Connect for speech to text and for text to speech, things like Lex and contact lens, if you're aware, and poly. And I think some of the issues that we were starting to find was, one, we talked about it just a second ago, if you're already using, Deepgram, you couldn't really, use that with Amazon Connect. You had to manage it separately, which was problematic. Or if you attempted to, somehow integrate it with Amazon Connect using a workaround, that workaround is expensive to maintain and obviously performs inconsistently. And together, this limits the value of the voice AI partnerships and investments that organizations are making. Thanks. So, what is the after state? So now that we have the integration, just reiterating the benefits again, within Amazon Connect, you can now select Deepgram as the speech to text and the text to speech option within a self-service flow. This means using the speech to text or the text to speech options, with Lex and some of the other options that we have. And what's very great for the end customer, the one who's making contact with the contact center, they don't see any of this. This is all abstracted away. Because this integration is behind the scenes, they don't realize these multiple solutions are working together to deliver sort of this high quality experience. Awesome. So architecture here at a high level on the left-hand side, you can see the end user, making contact with the contact center, Amazon Connect as a platform powering that contact center. And then you can see sort of Deepgram at the bottom there. And you can just swap in Deepgram for speech to text and text to speech, and replacing the existing options. And you get the real-time voice intelligence for IVR and agents. There's live caller audio streams, Deepgram for instant transcripts and natural sounding responses. And then it's very simple and secure to configure inside of AWS. I think, maybe Leah is going to talk a little bit more about this, but you simply store your Deepgram API key in the secrets manager. And then you can select the Deepgram models. I think Zach talked about the Nova models for speech to text and the Aura models for text to speech directly in the Connect Lex settings. So very simple to do. And Leo will walk through an example of that now, I believe.
Cool. Thanks, Sandeep. I'm just going to run through really quick a couple of use cases. Then we're actually going to go into the demo with Leah. So if you think of really about anything that you're doing with Lex, right? Those are also the same use cases that you'd be doing with Deepgram, again, because you're just replacing transcribe and poly. One of the questions, which is really appreciate the question, which is, where do we differentiate ourselves versus some of the competitors? And so I'm going to use this slide and the next slide to actually kind of talk about some of that stuff. But some of the use cases that we feel like Deepgram would be particularly useful for are going to be around self-service, IVR containment, and the reason here is because we're really accurate on alphanumerics. And our Nova 3 models were actually trained specifically for far field audio and really with noisy background environments. Also, because our latency is industry leading, we're talking sub 300 milliseconds for our speech to text. This is really going to improve that turn taking. And so you're going to have and feel like it's a much, the conversation is going to flow much more naturally, which will keep people in the IVR versus just furiously hitting zero, which we all know happens. The second thing is if there's complex intent, again, because our transcriptions are so accurate, there's not going to be as many misrecognitions, and then your intents are going to be more accurate. And then, for regulated industries, thinking about, financial services, for healthcare, again, our alphanumerics, think date of birth, your VIN number, your email, your medication name. These are things that are going to be much improved. And so you're going to have better outcomes here for those types of use cases. We also have really good barge-in and interruption handling. So instead of the agent continuing to talk, you're going to be able to interrupt it and again, have that much more fluid conversation. We also have a huge support of languages as well. And we'll send some documentation, along in the follow-up email with the with the webinar recording, so you can look at all of our languages. But right now we're at about 40 plus languages on speech to text. We have 7 for text to speech, and the goal is to be right around 100 by the end of this year for both. We also have a multilingual model as well that does 10 languages all at the same time. Leah, you are up.
All right, thanks, Zach. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I think you might need to stop sharing for me to be able to. Awesome. All right. Well, hi everyone. I'm Leah Liu. I'm an applied engineer here at Deepgram. I'm very excited to be showing you how easy it is to integrate Deepgram within Amazon Connect. So as you can see, I'm starting from my Amazon Connect workspace here. And the first thing I'll do is hop on over to Flows. So what we will be setting up is 2 components. There's the ASR component, which will be, as your user call in, it will be transcribing your user's speech input into text. And then there is the text to speech component. As your bot respond back to your user, it will be responding back in a voice that's from our Deepgram text to speech model. So I'll go on over to conversational AI here. We'll first be setting up the ASR portion of it. If you are familiar with Connect, I imagine most of you are, you probably have been using Connect in conjunction with Lex. So this is basically the same as the Lex. These are 2 Lex bots. What I'll be showing, you can also just configure them in your typical Lex configuration page as well. For the demo purpose today, I'll be doing that all within Connect. So I'll go into this Deepgram ASR bot. This is a very bare bone bot. I haven't set up much of anything in here, as you can see. I'll go on over to configurations. So this is where you'll be adding different languages and configuring the speech model for them. So I'll go ahead and I'll just go ahead with English. But as Zach mentioned, with our Nova 3 model, we support over 40 languages now. So there's definitely a lot for depending on your use case, you can select different languages for that. So this language has been added. And I'll go on over to the speech model and just click edit. We'll keep the model type as speech text since we're doing transcription. And the voice provider, it's just a simple drop down. You can switch from Amazon over to Deepgram. And for model ID, we'll be using Nova 3. This is our latest generation of the Nova model. And Secrets Manager, like Sandeep mentioned earlier, you will, in your Deepgram account, you will generate a Deepgram API key that will be needed to authenticate your requests to Deepgram. And I've already gone through those steps. So I have a Deepgram API key, which has been stored in Secrets Manager. So I'll just grab the ARN and click confirm. And another quick thing I want to show is within alias, just make sure that the alias you'll be using within your Connect flow, you have this toggle to enabled, so you'll be able to use it in flow. And that's pretty much it for the ASR portion. And we'll go on over to an actual flow to see how we'll be able to use that within our flow. So this is a very simple Connect flow. If you're using Connect today, this is probably a lot simpler than what you have. But within here, you use a get customer input block, and I'll click on the block. And here within the Amazon Lex, we'll just select the Lex bot that we've just set up. So that will handle the ASR portion of it. And as for the TTS, we'll use a set voice block here. Similar to before, we'll just select Deepgram in the dropdown as the voice provider. If you're currently using Amazon, you can just quickly update that to Deepgram. For the Deepgram model, Aura 2 is our latest text-to-speech model, so I'll be using that. And the voice, I have Draco set up here, but in our documentations page, we have a long list of different voices and the language they support. So what I would do is just recommend you guys go over there, take a listen at the different voice sample and select the one that you prefer. Similar to before, we also need the Deepgram API key to authenticate the request. So here I have the exact same Secrets Manager ARN set in here. Another thing I will point out is just for the language attribute, you will want to make sure that the text-to-speech block matches the language that we set up in the ASR portion for the Lexbot. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, it's very straightforward to set up everything within Connect. And now with that, I'll pass the mic back to Zach.
Yeah, thank you so much, Leah. Just want to quickly share one other thing to actually get your Deepgram API key. It's really simple. And then Justin, if you just want to like drop the link in the chat for the console, that'd be super helpful. Appreciate that. So you're going to come to console.deepgram.com. Justin's going to put the link in the chat. You would either just sign up. I'm already logged in. Let's do that. Okay. Then once you log in, you're going to get a couple $100 in free credits, which that's like 600, 700 hours of transcription. And then you generate your API key. So it's literally as simple as creating a free account, logging in with Google, whatever it might be, getting your API key, and then following the instructions that Leah just went through. Justin will also put a link to our documentation in the chat, as well as a video walking you through what Leah just showed you as well. So that's actually all we had for today. Again, wanted to just quickly recap, why we did the integration, why we're so excited about it, and then why you guys should go and actually try this out. So the things that Deepgram does very different is going to be our speed, our accuracy, and our price, which our pricing is on the website as well. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the Q&A. I'm going to stop sharing. So let's answer some questions. All right, let's go. Okay, so everyone always wants to know, is there going to be a recording? Yes, we will send the link to the recording with the link to all the documentation that we've provided as well after the chat, or after this is done. Will Flux support multiple languages? Yes, it will soon. This is a top priority for us. What strategic areas is Deepgram focusing on to outperform competitors like Eleven Labs and Resemble? So like I said, the areas that we really focus on are going to be our latency. So our speech-to-text models are sub 300. Our text-to-speech models are sub 250 milliseconds. We also really focus on our accuracy, and not just accuracy when you're doing like one concurrent stream, or not just really good latency when you're doing small scale, but it's also when you're doing 10,000 concurrent calls. Are you going to get the same latency? Are you going to get the same level of accuracy and performance? And the answer is yes. So really, when we're thinking about where we go as a company, it's about enterprise use cases, high scale, companies that need, like redundancy, they need scale, they need security. It's not just about, those smaller use cases, it's about the big use cases. Okay, yep. Okay, what's the latency when using Amazon Connect? So yeah, like I said, our latency for the Deepgram models is like sub 300 milliseconds for speech to text, sub 250 for TTS. Are these models running on AWS Infra across all AWS regions? So the integration as it stands today is for Deepgram hosted, and we run on AWS. The feature itself is available across all regions. Right now, it's in the unlimited AI bundle, so you do need to be subscribed to that bundle to have access to this feature. Can I use SageMaker hosted models? So same answer. Right now, it's only for Deepgram hosted, but there are more options to come soon. Dead air. Does Deepgram do dead air check? I don't know what that question means. If you want to maybe explain that a little bit more. Is this speech text feature available for Connect in the AU region? So yes, as long as you're in the unlimited AI bundle. So Victor asked, last time you checked, it wasn't in Central 1. It might be because you're not in the unlimited AI. Perhaps that could be why. If you are on the unlimited AI and you're still having issues, reach out to your account manager, and they can find us, and we can troubleshoot this for you. Can you define these flows via IAC like Terraform, or does this need to be done manually via the console? I don't know the answer to that.
That could be that's a question for myself and for Thomas.
Yeah.
Thomas, maybe I'll toss this to you. Can we programmatically define the flows and sort of the options selected in the flows versus having to go into the console and do it manually?
I missed the details of this question. So programmatically control.
So the question is, can you define these flows via IAC like Terraform, or does it need to be done manually via the console?
No, sure. You can build your Lex bots through infrastructure as code, for sure. You can build these bots to have very dynamic flows as well, where you can control it through programmatic means, or even use large language models to control how it navigates through those flows. So it's up to you how the level of deterministic flows or an agentic experience you want within those, but you can build it any way you want it to build.
Does Deepgram auto detect the language while an active call recording? So Deepgram has language detection for our batch. For this use case, you would be set based on the language that the Lexbot is set to. But Thomas, do you want to add something? Add anything to that?
No. So at the current state for multi-language, you have to set the locale that you want the bot to use before you send the voice in. Now, potentially, if you send that into if you set the locale to a model that Deepgram is using that can understand and transcribe multiple languages, and you use like an LLM to format what you have there, then you should be able to understand multiple languages, but then it's only going to be configured to speak back in one language.
Appreciate that, Thomas. Next question: does it work with LiveKit? Yes, we are integrated with LiveKit. Okay, Deepgram provides voice agent, which provides all the tools of ASR, a single API, which can be done with Twilio. Where does Connect fit in then? So it just depends on, like, if you're already using Connect and you're using Lex, and you want to replace Transcribe and Poly with Deepgram, then this allows you to do that. If you prefer Twilio, then you can go use us with Twilio. So it's not necessarily like, does it fit in? Where does it fit in with what? It's just what is your current stack, and what are you using? Is there a way to keep same voice available on Connect, for example, Matthew? Yeah, so you don't have to replace both. If you want to replace Transcribe with Deepgram, you can, and then you can keep Matthew via Poly. Does this work only with conversational AI? Our RBR is not yet conversational in our company. Yes, so any use case that you use Lex for, you can now use Deepgram in. Okay, when would I use when would I use transcription from AWS versus from Deepgram?
So I think one point there is Deepgram has a transcription model for medical that could be a good use case if you need to be able to understand drug names, for example.
Yeah, totally.
And this goes back to just the choice, right? Like before we only had the first party choices for Amazon Connect, so you would use the Amazon Connect transcription. But in the case where you find Deepgram to be a better option, you now have Deepgram as well. So they're both options within Amazon Connect now, and they may be better for you depending on your need.
Can we use, so Thomas, I think this question is probably for you. Can we use AWS Connect self-service agentic AI with Deepgram speech to text?
Yes.
Cool.
Wait. Are you talking about Vipin's question? Can you use agentic
Yeah,
AI from speech voice models? So I think that question that's a different.
Sorry, speech to speech. Oh, sorry, I read that. Thank you for double clicking that.
Speech to speech. So right now we only have a few. We only have ASR and TTS models. We don't have a Deepgram speech to speech model for integration.
Yes, thank you for double clicking on that. I read that too.
But you can build Amazon Connect AI agents, that the things that we launched at reInvent. You can build those, and you can still use Deepgram for the ASR and the text to speech.
Okay. Okay, can AWS bring some clarification regarding the secrets manager keys and how to use them, as we must add the key in the Lex configuration level and in the Amazon Connect flow level? Should we use the same key?
You can absolutely use the same key. Essentially, you need to have a key for ASR or TTS, and you need to set up the permissions in Secrets Manager to give access to that key from Amazon Connect or from Lex. But you could use the same key and just give permissions to both.
Appreciate that, Thomas. Louisa asks, can it be used with EC2 hosted? So I think Louisa is referring to, can you use Deepgram self-hosted in Connect? So right now the answer is no. But if you want to reach out to us and give us the feedback that you would like to use self-hosted, we would appreciate, the feedback and having data points on what type of hosting patterns that people would like. But we are in talks with the Connect team on other ways of deploying the Deepgram models. How efficient is transcribing medical interaction if I'm using Nova 3 medical model? So of course, this is going to highly depend on what the context is, what type of medical conversation you're having. There's a lot of factors, of course. So I'm not just going to say it's going to be, this number or that number. But what I will say is our medical model is being used in production by Fortune 10 companies. And it's being used probably by at least 100 med tech companies. So companies that are doing medical transcription, voice agent use cases in the medical field. So it's a very widely used model in production today. My recommendation is always just to go and test. So you can go to Deepgram, create an account, and run some audio through and see what the efficiency is and what the accuracy is for your specific data. So is there already a speech-to-speech model from Deepgram coming out? When will it be? So our current version of a speech-to-speech model is the cascading architecture approach, which is what we're seeing that enterprises want today. So why would an enterprise want the cascading architecture? Well, it's for a few reasons. One, enterprises want control. So if you have the chained architecture, then you can control each thing individually. You also have observability. You have much more observability because, again, you have 3 models. That's also you have the ability to have each model be specialized in what it's doing. So the speech to text model is specialized, the LLM model is specialized, and then the text to speech model is specialized. And what we're actually seeing is that in production, in enterprise use cases, this speech to speech model, although it's 3 models, is actually widely preferred over the 1 model for the reasons that I just mentioned. And you don't actually really sacrifice any latency, again, because each model is tuned for the thing that it's supposed to do. We actually are working on kind of that 1 model. So, in the future, it is going to move there. And that's something that our researchers are working on. But right now, the chained architecture is what we're seeing enterprises really want to actually use. Okay, so could you highlight data residency? Is that something you can control where the transcription happens and stored? Yeah, so we have a US endpoint. So yeah, you can control whether it's US or we also have an EU endpoint. So there's two options there. Is there an SDK for Flux? Leah, this is a question for you.
Yes, so we have our SDK for many different languages, Python, Java, and that's you can use Flux or any of our models. You can configure that through the SDK.
Cool. Does Deepgram support switching languages in the same session? So if you have people speaking multiple languages, you're probably going to want to use the multilingual model that has 10 languages. So like English, Spanish, French, Japanese, I think German. We'll put the link to the documentation so you guys can see exactly what languages that has. Things like English, though, like our Hindi model is trained obviously like on a huge corpus of Hindi where a lot of English is spoken. So there's like some edge cases where if someone's speaking like English, like our Hindi model is going to be pretty good at that. What's the unlimited AI bundle? Sandeep, this is a question for you.
Yeah, I can take this one. So our unlimited AI offering is really what we're calling Amazon Connect now. It is a single price per usage of the various channels in Amazon Connect. So a single price per voice minute, a single price per messaging, a single price for email. And with that single price, you get all of Amazon Connect's artificial intelligence features. So that includes the agentic solutions and the speech options that we're talking about today with Deepgram, as well as our other AI features like our agent assistance feature and our feature that helps understand the sentiment of calls and AI features related to management of the workforce. So it's sort of that single price that includes all the AI features as well as our new speech options like Deepgram.
Thanks, Sandeep. All right. All right. Does Lex or Deepgram handle customization? For example, end of utterance detection and custom vocabulary. So we do have an option for adding in keywords, and then the model basically kind of boosts boosts these keywords, so you pick them up at a higher rate. End of utterance detection. Leah, are there any features that we provide in that area?
Yes, so we have different configurations that you can set like an endpointing value, or so that it basically waits for like a period of time. For example, if there's like silences in the speech, and you can say 500 milliseconds before saying that the speech has finished. I don't believe that is currently configurable within Connect, but Thomas can correct me if I'm wrong. But there is those configurable that we can maybe exposed.
Yeah, which things were those that you were wondering if they were configurable in Connect?
Yes, so within normal Deepgram request parameters, you can specify, for example, like endpointing or different additional parameters that you can send with the request. But right now, I think
Right
might
now,
be using default value.
yeah, right now you're just pointing to a model essentially for ASR and a model and a voice for text to speech.
Yeah. And we are working with the product team on integrating other, so parameters is kind of what you're referring to, other API parameters. We are working with the Connect team to enable additional parameters. And I know that keywords is definitely on that list. Okay. Nova 3 Chinese support. Lee, I'm going to kick this one over to you again.
We don't have Chinese for Nova 3 yet, but we do have Chinese for Nova 2.
Can we use knowledge base if using this setup? So I think what this person is referring to is being able to like do some RAG, right? So Thomas, this would be a question for you.
I can jump in this one to save
Yeah.
save Thomas from this. So you have the text to speech and the speech to text and the text to speech models as sort of an initial layer. Then you have the reasoning model that you're using with this. This is something that you configure a Connect AI agent for. And then you have the knowledge base that supports the RAG for all of this. And you can use what we call bedrock knowledge bases, which works with Amazon Connect to connect a knowledge base that already exists and pull knowledge from there to be used by the Connect AI agent, and then ultimately to be delivered back to the end customer via the text to speech.
Yeah, you can have multiple knowledge bases where you can instruct the AI agent to use different knowledge bases for different types of questions to be able to segment your knowledge as well, should you choose to.
Can Deepgram detect gender from the person's voice? That's not something that we do today. Are there examples of case studies of people using multiple voices in their journeys? This is a good question. Candidly, I'm not sure. I'd be curious, Connor, like what the use case is here. That's something that you might be able to set up with multiple Lex bots. It's a good question.
I can't point to any specific case studies or anything, but I have run into customers who feel like when the AI agent starts getting more and more human, that they want to kind of have that be its own persona. So they may start out with one voice, then they start talking to the AI agent, and then when they transfer to queue, it switches back to a different voice to make it clear that they've left the agentic experience and you're now in queue.
Okay, so this is a follow-up question from Louisa. Yes, she was referring to self-hosted. What's the recommended setup, Lambda and managed providers? So right now the setup is Deepgram hosted. You don't need Lambda, you don't need anything, just the flow that Leo walked you through. So it's really simple. Cool. So last question, again from Vipin. Currently using Amazon Nova 2 Sonic model, which handles both SET and TTS behind the scenes. If I switch to Deepgram for voice, do I need to configure two separate Lex bots? No. So it's one Lex bot where you put in, where you replace Deepgram you take out transcribe, you put Deepgram in, you take out poly, you put in Deepgram. But this is just one Lex bot.
And just to emphasize here, there's a difference between the Nova models that Deepgram has that Zach has talked about today. And I think this question is referring to the Amazon Nova 2 Sonic model, which is Amazon's internal speech-to-speech model. So two separate options that I think in this question, person is talking about migrating from Amazon's Nova 2 Sonic model to Deepgram's models, which include their Nova models. So I'll make that abundantly clear because I can see where that might be confusing to others.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that is all the questions that we had. One.
We got two more in last one.
Yeah. Okay. So regarding latency, is there any benchmark or way to evaluate mouth to ear gap latency when the customer stops speaking and they hear the next response? Leah, do you want to take that one? How to evaluate the latency?
Yeah, so I think to evaluate the latency, if you have the Amazon logs, I believe you'll be able to see the timestamp. Maybe Thomas would know the logs structure a little bit better than I do, but within the logs, you'll be able to see sort of when maybe you have user input and when a response was made, or when it goes to the next block, for example, things like that. The timestamp will help you evaluate the latency if you don't have other measurement in place to figure that out.
Yeah, there's currently no sections in the log that kind of pulls apart the ASR section from the NLU section, so it's difficult to see. But if you do run this with, say, the built-in Amazon models, and then you switch to Deepgram, I'm not sure that you could see it directly in the logs. You'd have to just test it out.
Yeah, I think part of this is just like, hey, how do we measure the user perceived latency from when someone stops talking to when someone starts, or when the
Yeah,
AI starts a response? You can see that.
Yeah, I've seen some people just do just turn on the call recording in Connect, and you can easily just measure out on the audio track. You can see end of user input to start a voice response to measure out that latency.
And I think I've seen this question a few times, and maybe we've kind of passed over it on benchmarks. Like, what is the latency with Deepgram plus Connect? We're not offering a benchmark at this time, so we don't have an answer for that at the moment. But just acknowledging that we've seen that question, and we hear it.
Okay, so this is going to be the last one we'll answer, and then we'll end it for today. How do you handle TTS and STT with LLM? Example for Chinese. I need GPT-4o transcript. So do you switch LLM model based on the language?
I would say yes. I've worked with customers in Asia where they would have used a different model than maybe they've used in the US. So a customer that used one model for pretty much all of their languages except for like Japanese, Chinese, and Korean, they chose a different model because that LLM just had more training data in those languages.
Cool. Thanks, Thomas. Well, we appreciate everyone's time today. We will send out an email with all the documentation, the videos, the recording. And if you guys want to talk to us directly, you can reach out or reach out to your AWS account manager. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.